So after UFC 275 in Singapore, I go back to Phuket, Bang Tao, Muay Thai, and MMA, and get back into training. So I spent the last week, actually the week after UFC 275 in Singapore, and focused mostly on just fitness, because I was sick. I didn't get to do much training, so I wanted to, you know, get my cardio back to where it was at. So I took the whole week, went to fitness every day, and kind of nursed a couple of injuries, and headed into phase two. So phase two, the schedule is flipped on its head, and the coaches want me to attend. Let's look at this list: 2 no-gi grappling classes a week, 2 MMA classes, 1 sparring, 1 technique, 2 SNC sessions. One is for, I believe, the upper body, and then the other is for the lower body, but I don't know for sure. And 2 fitness classes. So I will continue my fitness classes, but it would just be, instead of 5 classes a week, I will do 2. And 2 mid sessions. 1 mid session will be with Top Noi for more of the Muay Thai aspect of striking, and continue with George, my head coach, with the MMA striking. But it's all intertwined. The striking is intertwined. Top Noi has learned the system for a few years now, and he understands every aspect of it. So there's no conflict of interest, so to say. It is a lot. I'm just used to going to the fitness classes in the morning, so it's not that difficult. At the beginning it was, but after a while it's not as difficult. The reason why is, like, there's nobody challenging you. There's nobody on the other side. It's you versus yourself. And to me, that was a lot easier compared to, like, let's say going to grappling class and sparring people that you don't know, or sparring somebody that's very high level and just getting your ass beat for 5 minutes, which fucking sucks. Striking, same thing, but a little bit more fun. And the level of striking that I have, people understand. So when they do spar me, they don't go crazy and try to kill me. And that actually makes it a lot better experience. But anyways, one thing I learned, that no matter what you're doing, your body's going to take a physical toll, and you're going to have a lot of injuries. So throughout that time, when I was just focusing on losing weight and my fitness, I had certain problems with my body, like my shoulders. But for some reason, my shoulders really don't hurt anymore. Maybe, it's because I was so inactive for so long, and that's why my shoulders hurt, because of the movement. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. But my shoulders really don't hurt no more. I got this reoccurring, like, muscle tweak on the right side of my rib cage on the back. So that sucks. And then my lower back becomes stiff from time to time. And then my left hip. Something's wrong with my left hip. So I enter phase two with those injuries, basically. After trying to rest for a week, my hip is still not the best. But anyways, I go in Monday, jiu-jitsu in the morning, and MMA sparring in the evening. Look, I've been to the jiu-jitsu classes before, but this one was like the first one, because it is phase two. It's the start of phase two. You know what I mean? I'm trying to follow the schedule. I took it a lot more serious than during phase one. The head coach for jiu-jitsu is Alex Shield. If you don't know him, he is a 1 championship veteran. He's been out in Asia for a long time, has fought in China, Korea, everywhere pretty much. Black belt under Josh Hinger, and a lot of people in the grappling community know who Josh Hinger is, world champion. And he was out here earlier this year. Most likely he's going to come back soon, and we'll see him on the mats. But Alex, he's a great instructor. One thing I learned right away when I went into this class is that he breaks down everything really well. You know what I mean? Like, for somebody that's like me, I'm not a beginner, but a lot of the techniques, you need to have them refresh your mind, or a lot of the techniques you have to relearn them because it's been so long. So like I am a beginner, but I'm not a beginner. It's just like a weird position that you're in with jujitsu, right? So Alex, he's very good at like breaking it down from like section to section, which what is something that I really need. You know, some instructors they feel like everybody's advanced, so they go through like three different like setups or positions that are all connected or intertwined in like one swoop like explanation, which is not going to be very good for someone like me. I need it to be broken down into, if there's three different positions or three different, like movements, I needed to break down into three different movements. And Alex, he does that really well, and I appreciate that. And I learned, what I mean, from someone like that really quick. So what I did was learn the technique and and drilled it. After that, I went over to the uh, the fitness area and did a little cardio just because I felt like I needed to sweat more without trying to aggravate an injury, because man, the hip, it does really hurt. It's like to the point where I sit down and stand up, there's pain, and sometimes even with my lower back. So I go home, take a short break, do some work, go back at 4 o'clock, MMA sparring. I did 4 rounds with 4 different people, 4 different body styles, and it was fun as well as frustrating. The reason why is when you get hit and you can't hit them back, or your feet doesn't move the way you want it to, it really fucks with your head. And I try to keep a smile on my face, but in my mind, I'm just like, what is happening? Am I getting any better? You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll get a nice little jab, clean, you know, calf kicks, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll hit a counter, and and it feels good, but man, I'm getting hit way more. That's just part of learning the sport and getting better, right? Is to continue even though you're getting your ass beat. So that's what I did. Had some fun rounds, you know what I mean, with Top Noi, with Jada, with George, and yeah, and they all know like I'm a beginner at this MMA stuff, so they take it light. They're so fast compared to myself, but I just gotta learn to make adjustments and do it properly, do the techniques properly, and that's what I need to do. Take the techniques into sparring and try to practice them. Um, Sometimes the technique flies out the window, and I'm just playing. I'm just not using the proper form and stuff like that. So I need to fix that. Tuesday, I wake up super early. You know, got to get some work done, do some interviews, editing, writing, social media, all of that. Spent the whole morning doing that, and then at 1 p.m., I had a mid session with Top Noi. This was my first mid session with Top Noi. Me and Top Noi, we've known each other for a while, but lately, we've become better friends. And he has a good heart. You know what I mean? Like, he really wants to help me, so he takes it very seriously, and I respect it and I love it about him. So when we did the session, he was making little tweaks and adjustments, but what was fun is that he started to incorporate the elbows and the knees into the combinations that I've been learning uh, so far with George during our mid sessions, the first 3 months. Throwing the elbow is not as difficult as being able to throw a knee down the middle and then get out the way, before they counter. And that's what I noticed during our session, that um, that when I throw the knee, it's just not a natural movement for me. So I have to really work on that and be able to throw a knee clean down the middle and then retract and get out the way as fast as possible. Also, with my punches, sometimes I rotate too much and then I'm out of position, and that's what Top was showing me in our session. So I really look forward to doing more sessions with Top, and then be able to incorporate those things while I do mix with George. During the mid session, I I re-injured. I don't know, cause the day before, the pulled muscle in my near my rib cage or my on my back. It didn't hurt. But then during the mid session, I threw a body kick, and during that movement, something tweaked and it fucked up my muscle again. So it hurt. But the thing about that injury is like it pops in and pops out. Like sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. So I just continue with the session. I just kind of, you know, bit down and finish it because I'm there already. Might as well get the work in. Wednesday, I go to Nogi at 10 a.m. And this is where like all my injuries, like the hip, the lower back, and the muscle, the pulled muscle, it all kind of reached the peak at the same time. So my body was kind of jacked up, right? So I woke up and I was thinking like, man, what can I do today? I can't just sit around, even though I'm a little injured. So I go to jiu-jitsu class in the morning, but the funny thing is, it started raining really hard, right? Around like, I don't know what time it was. It was before jiu-jitsu, and I was almost thinking like, man, I'm gonna use the rain as an excuse not to go, but I didn't. I went to class, and man, it was a great session. It was a great session. I got to work with Ken. Ken is someone that I really want to work with a lot in the next couple of weeks because he's a little bit taller than me, weighs about the same, and he's only 16, but he trains like every day, 4 sessions a day, which is nuts. Has a lot of experience, you know what I mean? He does competitions all the time. So he is like the perfect size for me. So like I want to work with him a lot. So we got a lot of technique drills together that day. And again, I didn't spar. It was fun. It was fun. It was really legit fun, kind of learning all these techniques, drilling them. Drilling is actually fun for me. I know that sparring is fun for most people, and myself back in the day when I trained jiu-jitsu at a jiu-jitsu school, yes, sparring was the most fun part. But now my mindset is different, I think, and that's why I would rather do technique or do drills compared to sparring because my body is, you know, I have some aches and pains, but other than that, I'm good to go. So after jiu-jitsu, I go back, you know, having, you know, balancing work and training. It has been difficult, you know what I mean? Like, because I want to produce as much content as possible, right? I want to do as many interviews as possible. Then, you know, without taking away from the training, without taking away from, you know, either side, right? Work or training, because you have to have that perfect balance, and I'm still learning how to do that even right now, you know, even after 3 months of training. It's still hard because you can be completely drained from training and not really want to do any work, or you have to wake up early in the morning to work and then go to training, which could, you know, be detrimental because you don't have that energy to do it. If I was maybe in my early 20s, it'd be a different thing. But since I am in my early 40s, my body is not the same, and it can't take that wear and tear. Like I just mentioned earlier about Ken, he trains 4 or 5 times a day, but he's 16. You know, it's a different animal. But I'm gonna battle through it. I'm gonna find the balance. Woke up Thursday. Woke up on Thursday, immediate pain in my hip, like right when I get off the bed, just hurting bad. Luckily, Thursday is fitness in the morning at 9 a.m. So even though my hip was hurting, you know, one thing about fitness is they have a good warm up, and then I just did what I could. You know, I try to limit any kind of movement that would, you know, would aggravate my hip, and I got through it. It was a great workout. On Thursdays you do 5 by 5, so that means 5 workouts, 1 minute each, 5 times, and I got through it. Made little tweaks in, you know, here and there, just so, you know, I try not to, you know, injure myself, but got through it. And in the evening I was supposed to go to strength and conditioning, but you know, I didn't want to push and pull with the hip all hurting, so I skipped that. And then on Friday, I went to. I was supposed to do SNC on Friday evening as well, but I couldn't make it because I had to catch a flight to Bangkok. But before I catch the flight to Bangkok, or in the early afternoon on Friday, I did a mid session with George. Every time I do a mid session with George, it's great. He's he's very encouraging with what I'm doing, and he's dissecting, and he's even looking at like the stuff that Top has been teaching me, and incorporating it into the mid sessions. And it's just great to be able to move. And some days you feel good, and some days you don't, man. Some days you just feel like you're flowing, and some days you just feel real stiff. Like me, I'm still getting used to like just relaxing and breathing at the right moments, and stuff like that, even when I'm striking, sometimes I forget those things. I don't know why. I don't know why I have trouble breathing. um, it's just very odd. But yeah, so during our sessions, uh, I always come out of them with a good mindset, and and a great sweat. So that's that's something that is very encouraging every week, is those sessions with George, and just conversations with him during the mid sessions about like what's going on, and what I'm doing, and just getting advice about that. And that's with all the coaches, with Woody, with Alex, with Frank, who will be back pretty soon. Yeah, I could just ask them anything, and they're very open and friendly. And that's what a lot of people say about the gym, Bang Tao, Muay Thai, MMA. It's like a family environment, and it's very true. Like you walk in, people are friendly. So I said I went to Bangkok on Friday. Mr. Lee, aka the man from nowhere, Lee Kyung Sup. He is one of the Koreans that was down here training for their fights. There was like 5 Koreans, and he's him and Jiyoung Kim are the only ones left, right? But Jiyoung fights in July, so he went to Bangkok. He was fighting a Thai, and just went in there and demolished him. It was the first time I ever went to went to a Lumpini Stadium, ever. Like, and this is the new one. This is not the old one, but this is the new one, the nicer one. They're really tight on this COVID testing. I mean, I've never seen like a promotion or a stadium test every single person before they step into the stadium, which tripped me out, right? But what can you do? You gotta follow procedure anywhere you go. And that's my advice to people, man. Stop complaining and just follow the procedure. It's not gonna hurt you to follow the procedure. It's just what they put into effect. And you going there and fighting with them about it is doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. Anyway, so we get in there. Mr. Lee, he warms up, and then he goes in there and fights, and does phenomenal. And then we go home. Very simple. You know what I mean? Very simple. We get on a plane. The fight was at 11 a.m. We were on a plane back to Phuket from Bangkok at 3:55, I believe. I think that was the flight. And by sunset, sunset usually happens around 6. I was on the beach, chilling, celebrating the victory with Mr. Lee and a couple other people. And that was my week. That was my weekend. Next week, I will definitely put more effort into finding a doctor or a physio to look at my body and maybe make some adjustments. I keep on bullshitting and not doing it because I'm so busy doing other shit that I'm not worried about it. And plus, I'm kind of worried about how much it's going to cost me. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not rich. And most writers, they're not rich. So I could feel them on that. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week. Another week of training. Hopefully I could get maybe one more week of light training that I'm doing right now. And then the week after that, I could get in full blast, start doing wrestling, start doing everything that I need to, because I skipped wrestling this week, and I'll most likely skip wrestling next week as well, just to situate my hip and everything. Everybody that follows along, thank you so much for going on this journey with me. And if you just joined today, or if this is the first video you've watched, make sure to subscribe and follow along. Because this all ends with me either getting knocked out, submitted, or losing a decision, or me knocking somebody out, submitting somebody, or winning a decision. That's the only result that can happen. So I'll see you guys next week. Later.